Alright, right back here with you on the Rich Van Tassel Show, as well as recording for the YouTube show, the Rich Van Tassel channel. Alright, moving on with Week Nine's games. We have the Oakland Raiders traveling to the Steel City to play the Pittsburgh Steelers. Oakland is 4-3, Pittsburgh is 4-4. Injury report for the visiting Steelers, or excuse me, for the visiting Raiders. There are no injuries listed. For the Steelers, the injury report: Mike Vick, the quarterback, is listed as probable. Marcus Wheaton, the wide receiver, questionable, and Martavis Bryant, the wide receiver, is probable. Obviously, with Michael Vick, that's probable to dress. Of course, Ben Roethlisberger is going to get the start. Looking at this game, the Raiders were my surprise pick for this season. Of course, there's been a lot of talk about them this week, saying they're coming out of nowhere. But again, had you paid attention to me, you would have known that I was on top of this in the beginning of the year. This isn't surprising what the Raiders are doing this year, and Jack Del Rio deserves a lot of credit. Of course, Derek Carr coming into his own. Looking at his numbers here, he only has 3 interceptions to 15 touchdowns. Amari Cooper, my offensive rookie of the year, has over 500 yards and 3 touchdowns as far this season, and Latavius Murray continues to run the ball well. Obviously not as well as he ran it last year, but he is having a good year this year, close to 4.5 yards per carry. Now, can the Raiders go on the road and get this game? It would be a big step for them to show that they're a legitimate contender. I didn't have them winning the West. The West is going to be very difficult for them to win. I had them as a wild card team, though, and this is where it would start. You look Ben Roethlisberger back in the mix. He's not having the best of year, obviously. The injuries are playing a part in that, but only 5 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. Antonio Brown is having a spectacular year. Look for Charles Woodson, the aging but still spectacular safety for the Oakland Raiders, to roll coverage in his way to help double team him. We'll see if DJ Hayden can play him as well. I'm going to do it. I'm going to pick the Raiders. I think this is their game. I think this is their time, and I think it's going to happen. And a big time road win for them. I'm liking it 30-27, and I expect Amari Cooper to have a big game and Latavius Murray to control the run game. So the Raiders will get it done in this weekend's game. That's 30-27 over the Pittsburgh Steelers. Keep watching out for the Raiders. Now you're paying attention to it because ESPN told you so. You should have been paying attention to it because I told you so months ago. Alright, next up, the New York Giants traveling down to Florida to play the surprising Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who are now 3-4. The Giants 4-4 off that marathon game they played last week against the Saints. Injuries first for the visiting Giants, if we can get it. Alright, here we go. The first 3 players listed as out: John Beeson, the linebacker, Victor Cruz, the wide receiver. Got to wonder what's going on with him, and Larry Donnell, the tight end. At probable, Orleans Dorkwa, the running back, and Ruben Randall, the wide receiver, is questionable for the Buccaneers. Joik Smith, the defensive end, is questionable. Tony McDaniel, the defensive tackle, is questionable. William Golson, the defensive end, questionable. Austin Seferian-Jenkins, the tight end, questionable, and Vincent Jackson, the wide receiver, is out. The Giants, just when you think they're going to get it together, they have won the 3 straight games. They were 1-2 after that, losing a disappointing game last week to the New Orleans Saints, where they were down, kept scoring points, but the defense just could not stop anyone. You look at Tampa Bay, you would consider them a lesser opponent to the Giants, though. They're 3-4 to the Giants, 4-4. I look at the injuries, especially on the defensive line. They are all questionable, so they may or may not go. Obviously, we'll have to see. That should help the Giants look to run the ball and establish their running game. Rashad Jennings quietly now starting to put together a good year since they've focused to the running game more. Still under 4 yards per carry, but he's picking it up. Odell Beckham Jr. playing very well, 50 receptions, 654 yards and 7 touchdowns. This Tampa Bay secondary, they do have Mark Barron and safety, but other than that, really nothing impressive. So you got to look for Odell Beckham to have a very good game in this one. The Giants are they going to get it back together? I think they do. I think they need this one. They haven't really been able to put teams like the Eagles and even the Cowboys are still in it in last place because the Giants have really shot themselves in the foot these last couple weeks. So we'll have to see. We certainly don't want to give this one back. Tampa Bay showing the improvement. We talked about it in the season previews, how they're good. They have young talent on both sides of the ball. With Jameis Winston, who's really cut the turnovers down, can come away with a win here. They can really start to put things together and even be in contention for a wild card spot. It would have to start with this game, but I don't think they're going to get it. I think the Giants right the ship and come out of this one with a win, running the ball very well. I'm liking it to be 27 to 16, and I think they're going to keep the Tampa Bay Buccaneers out of the end zone. Next up, we have the Atlanta Falcons traveling west to play the San Francisco 49ers. After that 5-0 start, the Falcons are now 6-2. They've really been sputtering a bit of late. San Francisco 2-6. We know all the problems they have. Injury report for the visiting Falcons. Vic Beasley Jr., the defensive end, is questionable. Justin Grant, linebacker, out. Leonard Hankerson, wide receiver, out. William Moore, safety, out. Nick Williams, wide receiver, probable. For the 49ers, Carlos Hyde, the running back, questionable. Anquan Boldin, wide receiver, questionable. Mike Davis, running back, doubtful. Garrett Selleck, the tight end, questionable, and Navarro Bowman, the linebacker, questionable. Obviously, with San Francisco, they're not playing well. A lot of questions with Colin Kaepernick. It doesn't even look like he's going to play in this game. Blaine Gabbert is projected to be the starter as of now, so we'll see how that goes. Kaepernick not playing very well. They don't have much of a running game to help Blaine Gabbert, especially if Carlos Hyde can't go. You look, Reggie Bush is not going to go, and Mike Davis is doubtful, so where are they going to get their running from? Atlanta better shape it up, though, and they better not look at this game as, all right, this is the get well game. We're going to solve our problems here and get it. I think they're the better team, and I do think they're going to win. But they've been sputtering of late and playing more like the team I expected they would in the beginning of the year. I thought that 5-0 start was a bit of they got a couple wins here that maybe they wouldn't have, or, had they played the season over, they probably wouldn't have gotten in that regard. But hey, the wins are the wins, but now they're starting to come back to it, so they better get it together right now. It's going to be a tough West Coast trip, so they're going to have to figure it out, and I think they will, but I think it's going to be tough for them. And I like it to be 24 to 20 in favor of the Falcons. But again, this would not surprise me if the Falcons continue their slide and have trouble with this one. You hope they don't, but traveling out west, you just don't know. So 24-20 Falcons over the 49ers. Okay, up next, the Denver Broncos traveling to Indianapolis to play the Colts. The Broncos somehow are 7-0. The Indianapolis Colts are really struggling at 3-5. They're lucky they play in such a porous division. Injury report for the visiting Broncos. Peyton Manning is listed as probable. Ronnie Hillman, the running back, is questionable. Emmanuel Sanders, wide receiver, probable. And C.J. Anderson, running back, is probable. For the Colts, Mike Adams, their safety, probable. Andrew Luck, their quarterback, probable. And T.Y. Hilton, the wide receiver, questionable. We look at Peyton Manning, just under 99 incompletions, so just under 100 incompletions on 266 passes. His yards are good, close to 2,000, but only 7 touchdowns to 11 interceptions. Andrew Luck has 12 interceptions, but 13 touchdowns. He's got 116 incompletions on 257 passes. So a lot of turnovers between these two quarterbacks. Frank Gore, again, even at his age, putting together a productive season, well over 4 yards per carry, almost at 4.5, with 516 yards on the season and 3 touchdowns. You look at Demaryius Thomas, the leading receiver, having another solid year, but only 1 touchdown. Is Indianapolis going to get it together and start winning? Now would be the time. We discussed Denver. Their defense is obviously playing well. Their offense, though, is just not putting it together. This was, again, something I had discussed in the season previews. I was on top of it. Had you been watching, you would have known. But we'll have to see what happens here. Is it time for Indianapolis to get the win? I would like to think so. I think Denver is due for a loss. I thought they were going to get the loss last week against the Packers. They did not. And if their offense doesn't figure it out, your defense isn't always going to be there. And an offensive team like the Colts can game plan for a game like this and find a way to score points on that defense. It's going to be tough. I'm probably going against my better judgment here, but I'm going to pick the Colts because I think they needed a lot more. I like 30-23 Indianapolis. All right, so we have that for now. We are going to take one more quick break here, and then we're going to come back with the Sunday night game and give you the breakdown of that. that, so stay tuned.